So I'm going to take a question and try to synthesize it a little bit. I know I try to get it verbatim, but this one is kind of complex. So essentially what the question was asking me was just with regards to not only getting a physician to do lab work for the individual, but also they were really confused about like what normal levels were. And I know that sounds probably very broad, but let's try our best to try to tackle this question. So I get this actually a lot from individuals that will email me and tell me about, ask me about like their blood work for, let's say they've got women's reproductive health issues and they're trying to figure out just what even hormones to get tested. Other times I get people that have or feel that they might have hypothyroidism, but their lab work, either they can't get certain lab work or their lab work comes back and it's normal. So here is, I think, one of the biggest issues facing, I mean, there's a lot of issues facing medicine right now, but here's one of the biggest issues that I see with regards to lab work specifically. One size does not fit all. Yet we try to take very specific methods of doing lab work and apply them to everybody. So there are certain norms, means, standards, I'm not going to get into the statistical stuff, that get applied to populations across the board, whether that is a man, a woman, an athlete, no matter what substances might have been used in the past. And so it's a very generalized. And I think by now people probably are starting to feel my displeasure with generalizing to begin with. But when it comes to lab work, the thing that's really scary is that then that gets based for prescribing certain protocols or certain treatment plans. So people don't always get the treatments that they need because of these norms. Now, there isn't an easy answer to this. I really don't have an answer to say like, yes, well, if you do this, you're going to be able to get your blood in a range that's going to meet the lab. I should say that as well, is that different labs actually have different ranges for certain hormones and certain other blood markers. It's also different too if you are a Dr. Googler, which I know a lot of people out there are these days. They will say, well, my levels were this, but when I looked it up, it said that that was not normal. Look at the actual unit of measurement. It's different in Canada and the US and also at different labs. So before you start to try to like pathologize yourself and diagnose yourself, make sure that you get your units right. And please don't do that to begin with. Go seek medical professionals that know what they're doing. But again, I digress. Back to our main kind of question here, which is not only how to get lab work. Canada, I wish we had an easier way. You have to try to find a physician, unfortunately, that is going to work with you and work with your body and your goals. And it is so important to be honest with physicians. All too often I see, especially women, so scared to tell their doctor whether or not they've used certain performance enhancing agents. And then when they do get finally some type of lab work or blood work done, that it comes back totally skewed, and the solution that's sometimes provided to them is not exactly optimal for them, their bodies, or their health history, but the doctor didn't really know their health history to begin with. So needless to say, things just get really messy really quickly. Now, finding a doctor is not impossible. Sometimes you do need to, like anything, try out and find the best one for you. It's like dating. You don't usually settle on the first person that you meet or go on a first date with. You got to try to get to know them. Some people have the ability and the opportunity and the time to do that. Other people, the situation is a little bit more critical. Again, I wish I had an easy answer for this, but my whole point in doing Ask Me Anything is to be transparent with you guys and not always answer questions that I can just give you the XYZ to. Sometimes my answers are going to be a little bit longer. Sometimes my answers aren't going to be what people really want to hear, and it is not easy. Pay for fee service, so actually paying to get your blood work done, that's fine and dandy, but who the hell is going to be doing your analysis? Who's going to be providing you with a treatment protocol or plan? And please don't say it's going to be your coach, because your coach is not a doctor. That is another big thing that I'm seeing a lot of these days, is that people are going to pseudo-professionals to be able to get their lab work analyzed. And that just, let's think about that for a second. I'm not going to go to somebody that is a, I don't know. I'm trying to draw a parallel here, but all I can say is that it's stupid. So, to recap, I've talked about blood values, how they are different with different labs, how you just have to be very careful. I've talked about trying to actually get them. Last but not least, what do they mean? So the thing with blood work is that our bodies, for lack of a better word, it's almost sometimes like a giant experiment. So think back to high school when doing scientific method, and that with the scientific method, you have different variables. So variables both internal and external to an experiment, as well as some that can be manipulated and some that have to be controlled, some that are constant. That is your body. And so there are certain times that, for example, trying to track menstruation. If you go any day of the week and you haven't really figured out where your cycle is, I mean, it's a great start point, but what is that really going to tell you? We know that hormones cascade, which means they go up and down and all around within for women at least, in our reproductive cycle. So if you go and you get blood work done on any given day, that's a great place to start if you don't know when your cycle is. But if you do and you're trying to figure out, say, where your levels of estrogen are, well, track your period, figure out when your levels are either the highest or going to be the highest in your cycle, when they're supposed to be the lowest based off of the norm, then go get your levels checked. Why? That gives you at least a set point to go off of, but don't just do it once. Try to do it consistently for a couple months in a row to be able to actually give you some data that then your doctor and your endocrinologist or whomever you're working for, or working with, I should say, can utilize to be able to properly figure stuff out. I know, again, not an optimal thing, but truly what I believe, and this is my professional opinion, is that we really do need to start challenging and changing our ways that we're doing testing for individuals. There are other types of testing. Blood work is only one of many. You've got salivary, you've got dried urine analysis, but whatever you're doing, just remember, you got to be critical of them. Who is telling you what levels are normal and not? Who's looking at it in conjunction with all the other variables? And I think we're actually going to be able to do a video either today or coming up in the future about kind of looking at all the variables that do influence our health, and help us figure out what's working, what's not, why some people have periods and why some people don't, why some people have a high libido and some people don't. There are lots of different variables involved here, but I guess at the end of the day for me, so I can stop rambling about this question and move on to the next one, is that just track other variables on top of just your blood work, such as, say, energy, mood, digestion. So this is biofeedback. Grasp the basic biofeedback, keep records and logs of that. When you go, you get your blood work done, be able to have your blood work just as one of many different kind of methods that you're using, many different tools to your disposal and with your doctor's disposal, because they might be able to see something and see patterns once they look at how you've been feeling, how you've been pooping, how you've been, your energy and your digestion, everything together, to be able to take that, compare it with your blood work to find the best program and protocol for you and your body, because it is about you and your body and not comparing you to everybody else. I hope that kind of gives you some answers and some insights. Sorry I couldn't be more, I guess, structured with that answer, but there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of myths that we're breaking. So thank you guys. Please, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, email me or write a comment below, and I will try to continue to keep tackling the questions, but I got a lot of them. So thanks, guys.